You guys really love when I make interview videos. This is clearly something that a lot of people are struggling with right now. So in this one, I thought I would compile a list of the most common interview mistakes that I've seen committed during interviews. The best way to me to learn is to hear about fatal errors from others so that we can avoid them and refine our own practice when it comes to interview skills. I've been on a gazillion interviews myself. I've committed some of these. I've been on the other side of the desk and seen a lot of these happen, and it is painful to watch. So we're going to talk about the most common things I've seen, a few that I've not seen that I know are problems, and the biggest, the single most fatal error you can make in any interview, I'm going to save for the last, so stick around to the end. If we haven't met yet, my name is Bree. I'm a nurse practitioner. I make content for nurses, NPs, and students. Welcome to the channel. Okay, let's get right to it. First mistake, no preparation. And yes, you can absolutely tell the people who have prepared for their interview and those who have not. It usually comes across as someone who's extremely nervous. And listen, we're all nervous. Everybody has anxiety when they go into an interview, but some people manifest it more than others. The nerves will show up in the form of lack of answers, basically. Interviewers are going to ask you a ton of behavioral questions. These are the tell me about a time when, or share an example of a situation in which whatever happened. This is how people who don't know you assess how you handle problems. Previous experience tends to dictate how we act going forward. And it's very important when you share answers to these things, if it's a mistake one or a failure one or a weakness one, it's important for you to share the story honestly about the mistake that was made, but to follow it up with how you grew and changed from it. It shows what you've learned and how adaptable you are. So a little bit of a side tangent there, but people are going to ask you a lot of behavioral questions, and they're going to come in various different formats. If you have like 5 scenarios in mind that you can use, you can kind of tweak them to fit any of those questions. And people who have not developed those 5 questions, it shows. Because when we ask something like, tell me about a time in which you failed in your clinicals. Well, people are going to do a lot of They're going to struggle to find a response to it. Trust me, people, it shows. How do you fix this problem? Well, prepare. Develop your 5 scenarios and practice how you would tweak them in response to various different formats of that behavioral type of question. It's real simple. Just prepare. The second problem I see is the opposite of this. This is the person who has memorized their responses. You don't want it to be memorized. You don't want it to come across as something that you're not just coming up with on the fly. This is a very tricky spot, right? You want to have prepared responses, but you don't want to have them so prepared in practice that you just verbally and woodenly share an example of a time when something happened and you're thinking so hard about what it is that you're saying because you've got it memorized that none of your personality shows through, and there's zero inflection on the words and the story that you're sharing. So your personality can't show because I can't tell. Are you telling me this story and you're emphasizing the part of whatever it is that you failed and how you then grew from it, and your octave goes up because you have learned from it and the light bulb has gone off and you're highlighting your adaptability? Or is it just a rehearsed story, which in all respects could be a made-up story? It doesn't ring sincerely. So the solution to this, don't over-rehearse. The third thing I see is not enough of a response. So this is, typically your questions are going to be very open-ended and you're going to be able to tell a story. What they want to hear is the story. They want to get a sense of you. And with a simple yes or no answer, they're not going to get that. So if there are a lot of leading questions, if you, during the course of your interview, you find that they're asking you a lot of follow-up questions to the first question in order to get to what the answer is they're seeking, it's because you're not giving them enough information. So elaborate a little bit more on what you're sharing with them. Like I said, most questions are going to be very open-ended, but if you get those binary questions, those yes, no, follow the yes or no up with some story to back it up. It helps add context to what that question was asking. The fourth most common thing is the meandering, long-winded answers because you just can't get back to the point. And this also happens when people are nervous. I tend to do this when I'm nervous. When you are practicing, time your responses. They should be under 3 minutes, well under 3 minutes. The fifth most common problem is going to be body language. And by this, I'm kind of referring to like a victim of nerves. Someone who's got severe interview anxiety, it's going to show, it's going to kind of blanket the entire interview. And you're going to see it in the form of some body language, as well as some of the things I've already talked about, like memorization, like meandering answers. All of those things kind of indicate you're nervous, but body language is a big piece of this. So the person who can't make eye contact with me, the person who's looking all around the room or constantly looking up like this tells me that they're searching for answers. Come back down to me periodically and connect with me as a person. It shows me that you want to hear me, that you want to connect with me. It shows me kindness. It shows me engagement. So make a mental point periodically to bring your focus from here to the person you're talking to. Don't cross your arms. Even if it's freezing in the room, this comes across as very defensive. I've been told that you can cross your arms with your hands like this. This is a little bit of a power move. I think it's probably okay in an interview, but be careful with it. You don't want to do this the whole time, because this comes across as so much of a leader, and unless you're looking for specifically a leader role, you're currently in sort of a differential position as the person being interviewed, and you want to come across as humble. And I'm not sure this is the most humble look. Just throwing that out there. And don't forget to smile. We often get so nervous that we forget to smile. Personally, when I'm interviewing people, even for my channel, I find that people can also forget that. I mean, you've got to kind of overplay it just a little bit on camera. In person, maybe not so much, but it at least needs to be there. Even if you're not feeling particularly happy and lighthearted, you need to act like you are. I read a statistic once that 40% of interviewers thought that a lack of smile alone, irrespective of anything else, was reason enough not to hire someone. It's huge, y'all. Smile when you come in, smile when you're answering, make a little joke about something, and smile when you leave. It's important. Two things that I've never seen but I think could be very, very detrimental in an interview. Number one is never talk money. Never talk money, never talk money, never talk money during the interview. Even if this interview is just a formality and the job position has already been offered to you verbally, don't talk money during this interview phase. This is a formal time frame. This is the time frame in which you're trying to decide if you guys are both a fit for each other. But what do interviewers care about? They kind of care that it's a good fit for you because they want you to stay. They want to hire you for longevity. But more importantly, they want to make sure you're a good fit for them, particularly if they're interviewing like 10 other people for the same position. So you want to make sure that you are focusing your time on proving how you are the best candidate for this position. Don't talk money. Not yet, not till you get the offer. The next thing I would never ever do in an interview is accept the job on the spot. Again, going back to that, even if this is a formality, even if you already know you want to work for this group, I would never, never, never accept a job. If someone asks you, will you take the job? You need to reply with something like, I need to talk this over with my partner. I need 24 hours, or however long you think you need to make a decision, because you need to walk out of there, let the adrenaline kind of settle back down, and think through the realities of what it is you're about to accept. It also puts you in a better negotiating position if you don't accept it. If you accept it right then, negotiation is done. There is no more negotiating. You've accepted it. So don't accept the job during the interview. Okay, the number one, biggest, worst mistake you can make in an interview is to not ask them questions. At the end, they're always going to ask you, what questions do you have for us? Never, 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 never. Look at me, friends. Never say no, even if it's true. Even if you have zero questions, even if you have no qualms, you know you want the job, all the logistics about whether the schedule and the pay and the workload and everything fits well, and you already know the answers to them because you've been doing clinicals for 6 months with this group, I don't care. You always have questions. You always have questions. And here's why. The quality of the questions that you ask them tells them way more about your candidacy than anything they ask you. This is the most crucial step of the whole interview process. There are two categories of questions you're going to ask. This is how I think about it in my mind. One category is going to be the logistical stuff. All the questions like, how often do y'all work? Will I have to be doing nights? How many patients will I be expected to see? All of those kind of logistical things that help determine if this is a good fit for you, which is important. The second category are the what I consider to be behavioral questions. And these questions help the interviewer to determine if you are a good fit for them. And this is how you seal the deal, friends. This is key. I'm not going to go into it because it really requires its own discussion. So I'm going to do a follow-up video to this one where I talk about questions you can ask of the interviewer. So be on the lookout for that. This one was just intended to be a quick little review about mistakes that I've seen and how you should clearly avoid these things. Key takeaways: prepare and practice. Prepare and practice. Prepare and practice. I've repeated myself a lot in this video. Clearly that's my take home here is just repetition, and then I feel like you'll get it. If you need more help with interviews, please check out my website. I do offer mock interviews. I've got a lot of other content on this channel about interview strategies, and my TikTok, lots and lots and lots of stuff on TikTok about interviews. Good luck.